And JP Finlay from NBC Washington and 106.7 The Fan joins me now. We'll talk some Commanders and whatever else we feel like talking about. That's the beauty of this program. We'll talk about whatever we're talking about. But you know that you're from radio too, 106.7 The Fan. You do it every day with Brian Mitchell. Sometimes you just talk about whatever you feel like talking about.
Whatever pops in your head. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Great to have you. Great to see you. And I don't know that it can be said that the Commanders are having a great season. It was 3-2 after that 27-10 victory week 5 against the Chargers. And it's like, wow, hey, they're there's so many teams that, and I don't think this is only something that's happened this year. You feel like they're finally in a groove and then it all just falls apart. 3 straight losses, 3-5. And I'm already at the point with the Commanders where I'm looking at the schedule, I'm looking at the rest of the conference, and I'm wondering how many more losses they can even afford before it's just over.
Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, so they're in that groove coming off the big win in LA. They come back home hosting the Bears, and it looks like they're going to steal a win. Chicago played pretty well, but late in that game, Washington has the lead, and then kind of the unthinkable happened. Jaden Daniels, their all-world second-year quarterback, puts the ball on the ground. That fumble completely flipped that game. Chicago's able to get the win on the road. Then they go to Dallas, which was a bad matchup with as beat up as their secondary is. They got blown out by the Cowboys. You can't sugarcoat what happened down there. For me, though, when you look at 3-5 in this 3-game losing streak, go back to the beginning of the season, and when you're counting up wins, I don't think many people had them winning in Arrowhead against the Chiefs on Monday night. To me, the back-to-back losses to the Bears and the Cowboys are what have really put them in a hole that, at least according to odds makers, is probably too big to climb out of, especially with the Seahawks and the Lions coming up. It'll be very interesting to see what Seattle's playing like coming off that bye week, going west to east. But that defense is excellent. Mike McDonald's an excellent coach. Washington's still dealing with a million injuries. And Detroit, in 10 days or whatever, knowing that Washington knocked them out of the divisional round at their place last year, I think far too much gets made of like the revenge factor in pro football. I think by and large players are just focused week to week and not thinking backwards. But I do think Dan Campbell's going to remember that divisional round next week.
Yeah, and I always bristle a little bit at the idea of being upset because somebody else did their job better than you did. Now if we have a Jeff Gillooly angle, then that's when revenge comes into play. But the Commanders showed up and beat the Lions. And, right. I can understand why the Lions would just want to balance that out. And it's a lot easier if the Commanders are down and the Lions are still what the Lions were. And is it simple enough to just say the problem is that Jaden Daniels has missed 3 games and could miss another game due to injury? Is that the biggest reason why this team is underachieved, or are there other deeper factors that would drag the team down even if Jaden Daniels were available and 100% every week?
It's a good question. I think certainly the top of the list has been Jaden's availability, right? He's missed 3 games. I do think he's going to play Sunday night. When Dan Quinn said Jaden is going to practice in full all 3 days, I think that was a pretty clear direction of we expect him to go Sunday. But yeah, not having Jaden has been a massive factor. He's their best player. He's the best player at the game's most important position, and he's able to do things that, as well as Marcus Mariota has played in a backup role, Jaden's on a different level, just period. But there are other factors, Mike. This team last year signed a bunch of veterans and everything kind of broke in their direction. This year, that's kind of not happening. One, injuries have plagued them all over the field. A big focus defensively was to get bigger on their defensive front. They've lost 3 DNs now for the season. Dietrich Wise was supposed to be this plug and play, help us set the edge against the run game. He went down. Then Dorrance Armstrong goes down. Defensively, they've been kind of a mess. The back end is giving up coverage busts consistently, giving up explosive plays consistently. They don't have the pass rush now to kind of overcome that. And offensively, they've gotten old in key spots. They've gotten injured in key spots. The offensive line does not have the same cohesion it did last year. Their run game over this 3-game losing streak has been non-existent. If you look at their totals for the year, they're top 5 in the NFL in rushing yards per game. If you look at their totals over the last 3 games, it's dropped about 25%. And if you just watched Kansas City the other night, they couldn't run the football. So the run stats are a little skewed because both Jaden and Marcus can take off with their feet, and that gives them more yardage on the ground, but it's not the same as establishing the run. They haven't been able to do it. So, yes, Jaden's at the top of the list, but they've got plenty of problems.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.